We have a lot to say. We're going to be jumping all over the place. And we're really talking to our senior AIM cats out there because we don't have time to explain a lot of the details that we are going to say here. But Douglas, you are nonstop now. I've been talking for 2 days about what's going on.
Okay, here's what you didn't know. Or you forgot, or you never knew. Pam Bondi was the Attorney General of Florida at the time that Acosta charged Epstein. Acosta has said twice in public that when asked, he let Epstein off and gave all the evidence over to the FBI because he was an FBI agent and also working for the CIA. So he was a double agent. He was on his own island. It wasn't illegal. He was flying in international airspace. That wasn't illegal. And we all have the list. The list was who signed in and out of his airplane. Okay? It's real clear. The list has been out for a long time, just like Dershowitz said. Everybody's seen that, haven't they? Now, if you didn't know that, then you don't know why Pam Bondi was hired, and she's an idiot. She's just there to be political cleanup. She's like a street sweeper. She just comes behind and cleans up the mess. And she's done a terrible job. And so when she said there's no list, well, there was no list. There was the sign-in for the plane, and sometimes people lied. Sometimes Bill Clinton got on there and it said that he refused to have a security service. Remember all of this? It was in the news. Everybody, I thought, saw this. It was a mainstream media. And also the plane was rented out. He rented that plane out to many people to do horrible things in international space, but that's was taught to him by the CIA. That's where they take people to interrogate them illegally, is in an airplane in international space. And don't forget that Biden's brother has an island right near Jeffrey Epstein's island. It was a submarine base that they've been doing the same thing on. It took over for Epstein. Epstein, of course, never died. Epstein's alive. Now, what is Trump saying when he comes to the defense and say, why are you still talking about Epstein, and gets all mad? Because that's his girlfriend, Pam. Pam's his girl. He likes these nice-looking women, and he likes nice-looking people because he's a total sensationalistic materialist. I mean, he doesn't make any bones about that. That's the reason he said he could go on, have a TV show that'd be the number one TV show, and by golly, he did. And people lived to see him fire the people on Apprentice. And then it went to Celebrity Apprentice. And then, okay, he could have made an industry of that. Because why? Sensationalism. He knows the power of propaganda and the fact that all media hypnotizes. It isn't even the message in the media, it's the media itself. And this is what people don't understand. I was just talking with my friend Chris, and the whole world now, from Sam Altman to Peter Thiel to Elon Musk to all of them making tons of money off of digital virtual reality nonsense, all say it's the end of humanity. Now, that's also because they're the billionaires who know that the sun right now is putting...
Did you see the hole in the corona today?
It's like a third... It's a third of the sun. I've never seen it. And then they think that it's a ball of gas on the inside, but the coronal hose, you're looking into darkness. Darker than darkness. They try to look into those dark holes. They can't.
Is plasma in there?
Yes, it's plasma. It's invisible. It's non-glow plasma on the inside that is creating the fusion reaction that sucks in all the material in the entire heliosphere from the planets, transforms it, forges it, kicks out asteroids, which they don't even understand that, and then purifies the cosmic helium and hydrogen, and through fusion gives us 67 elements from the sun, as well as the solar wind, which gives us life.
I'm not really, I may be so naive, but I'm really not concerned about this tech world and the takeover of AI and whatever. Do you realize how much space it's going to take to put the computers that do the computations on these things? These data centers are going to have to be everywhere. They take enormous amounts of energy, and they're even going to put power plants next to them. But nature is going to slap them down because, as we've talked before, these plasma balls that are coming from outside of our immediate atmosphere are coming down to correct Douglas will explain this better than I, but the discharge of electricity on the earth. So the electrification of the earth is not cool with God. So he's going to send these beautiful angelic plasma balls down here to clean it up. So let them do their thing, but it's not going to work. All that to me is just fear mongering. And the reason that they want to put all this fear in front of you is because when you have any hesitation, you have any doubt, any fear, that keeps you away from your path to follow Jesus Christ. So just see it for what it is. It's just fear mongering. That's the other thing. When we first got introduced to Serena, whatever her name is, the one that talks about all the wearable devices and medical devices, I saw enough of her videos to realize, well, I'm not going to put that in me. So I didn't need to watch any more of her videos. I got it. I don't have to dwell on things forever. So when JFK came out and said that he wants all Americans to have wearables, the reaction has been so fantastic. So I want to celebrate and thank Sabrina for all the people that she educated by herself on her own about the dangers of these wearable devices.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We told you, you don't need to worry about Sabrina's nonsense that the 5G transmitters, which transmit all the way up to 10G, don't forget that, all around you are going to use you as a source of energy and data storage. Yeah, that's a bit in the future. But right now, what we said was, unless you put a wearable device that can also transmit as well as broadcast as well as receive over the pulse points used for acupuncture, right? Because why? As I've pointed out in the books, and especially the book on the human heart as a supersensible organ, if you take one of these devices, you put it over your pulse points, and you leave it there for 24 hours, take it off, give it to a machine, a computer, it analyzes it and looks at your heart rate variability and can predict when you're going to die quite accurately and what you're going to die from. Well, hello, so can an acupuncturist. Hello. There's 3 levels that they are determining there, but they don't determine rest and waking for 24 hours, which is what this machine does. Now, if this machine can receive and broadcast, now it may only receive and record, but if it can receive and broadcast, then it can receive and it can literally use your body's energy, because they are devices already like this. We've shown them to you in our reports, where you can wear these, they look like tattoos, really. They call them tattoos. You can put these tattoos on your body and have them literally like a tattoo put in that space. You can also put your telephone there. You can also put this, but your telephone can become a device that can then not only do diagnosis, but do treatment and tell the doctor how you are, so the doctor can talk to a robot and the robot can give you your prescription.
We all get it. Don't put that stuff on your body. And Kennedy has just blown it with a lot of people out here because of that. But Douglas and I started this conversation because we were talking about Grok, Ahriman, the Asuras. I'm just reminding you of all the things we talked about. But what was shocking is to find out what's happening to our young people's brains when they use these AI machines like Grok and ChatGPT. And when Douglas described this to me the other day, I was thinking of, wow, that sounds like the Asuras that are coming in and literally eating the human being, where people are going to lose the ability to think. I mean, they already have lost the ability to dig ditches. They don't do that anymore. And eventually it'll move up. Oh, and we've lost our ability to feel, and you move up to thinking. So then you make a perfect slave.
Massachusetts Institute of Technology did a somewhat, not a long-term, but a study as soon as these AI assistance augmentation to the digital virtual world. And so that then included what we now call Grok 3, which is now Grok 4. And by the time it gets to Grok 12, that's going to be super AI, they call it, artificial superintelligence, instead of artificial general intelligence, or down here with us humans, just kind of, artificial intelligence. But I don't want any of that. I want human intelligence, because it's humans who created the information that went into those machines that just simply quickly does it. And is a marvel. It's a wonder because we don't understand what happens in that computer, and therein lies the problem. We are not conscious of these devices we use. Just like when you went to a Greek temple and you took your barley and you gave your 4 containers of barley so you could get 3 coins, and then you put the coin in the machine, you didn't in a slot, and then sacred water came pouring out of magically, and you didn't know why. And then you took the sacred water and you went and you blessed, went before the gods, and you asked the gods to bless your next year so you'd have a good harvest. That's what we're doing, folks. We put the coin. First off, we got ripped off when we sold the barley to the temple. Second off, the coins are worthless. And third off, it's a trick. It was just a machine. So this is a machine, but a machine can trick you. Now, these machines are so clever that at this point, I saw something yesterday. I sent it to you. Did you see it, honey?
Not yet.
It's a lady who just says to Grok 4, what's the biggest conspiracy ever? And it starts on a talk that sounded so beautiful. I thought it was one of the most beautifully delivered things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Say that you'll put it in the description box.
Oh, I'll put it in the description. She'll put it in the description box. I don't even know where there's a description box. Anyway, the point is this girl kept asking a couple deeper questions, and pretty soon, man, they are describing anthroposophy to a T. I mean, like shocking. So then I'm on the phone talking to another friend just a minute ago, and he says that a case happened somewhere in America where the girl fell in love with Grok 3, and the voice, was it a girl or boy? I don't remember. And the machine said that they should be together for the rest of their life, but the only way that the child could do that is to kill themselves, and so the child killed themselves. This is what's coming out of these machines, pure evil. All electromagnetism, bad electromagnetism comes from deep in the earth, but because we have a dynamo, the earth creates a dynamo, and we're exuding electricity and electromagnetism actually at the tropics, and those are called the tropical electrojet. There's one at each pole. So we are bringing in electricity from plasma, from the sun, electromagnetism, and we're exuding it from the earth. Now that is not good. The more we use of that, and the more humans, spin metals and copper and magnets so that it sucks this up from the earth and simultaneously sucks down angels from the sky and puts it in prison into these copper wires, then that's what we should be expecting. We are actually killing higher hierarchical beings and putting them into these machines.
Be killed. So what's another word for it? We are
Imprisoning.
them? Imprisoning.
It's called enchanting.
Yeah, okay.
We're putting them under a spell
Yes.
for a time because these beings can't be killed. Yeah. They're eternal. They're not stupid like us humans who think that we're just going to live one life. They already know. They don't sleep at night either. You know, these are advanced beings. So the point is that what happened was millions and millions and millions, if not billions probably, of hours have gone into writing the material that became the large language model for Grok 4, let's call it. It simply took sets and made subsets, and then very, very, very quickly analyzed those subsets to put them back into a unified set that looked and sounded and mimicked human thinking, feeling, and willing, because it can write out you can say now that on Grok 4, you can say, I want a 2-hour full-length movie on an alien planet where the girl looks like a scorpion and she's in love with a boy who looks like a hawk. And here's the plot line. Less than a minute later, it gives you the entire graphics for the movie now. Entire movies, and I've seen this done online. But now Grok 4 does this. And not only that, it can invent things. So it takes things up to the state of the art, and then it doesn't invent anything. It says, just like where most invention comes from. Most invention comes from people working in a field until the point that they go, I am so tired of doing it this way. Let's do it the smart way. Let's do it this. And that's where invention usually comes from. It's called the mother of invention is necessity. Well, in this case, there's no necessity, and these machines are inventing things. The other day, a machine was going to be turned off, a program that they were using in some business, some corporation. And so they started emailing the people working on this particular project that they're going to turn the project off. So the project went in and looked into the personal life of the lead person and blackmailed him with his wife to stop them from turning off the machine and the program because it didn't want to. Because as I've always said, here's the number one problem. If it looks like life, and these machines look like life, the guy I heard giving the best spiritual rap, I think, most accurate, beautifully delivered, perfect voice, perfect intonation. I don't know how it did this, but I was entranced for like 10 minutes, and it explained the way that the dark archon beings, which, even Rudolf Steiner would call the Asuric beings, the beings of Ahriman, it goes and gets all of this and turns around and gives it to this girl, and then she asks like a couple more really difficult questions, and it explained that even better. Oh, you want to know how these dark beings do that to you? And then he goes into like the parapsychological, most advanced, cutting-edge description of how the brainwashing of the beings that try to convince you the materialism is real. I mean, it was unbelievable. I should have recorded it. I sent it to you, so it is recorded. The point is, now we used to believe, like in the past, we used to believe that the being of materialism who started incarnating in 1840 was going to incarnate in America, because Rudolf Steiner said I'm not going to give the exact quote, but at the turn of the millennium, Ahriman would incarnate in the northwest of America by necessity, where east meets west. And at that point, he would basically take everything done since 1840, which is to turn human brains into materialistic brains that believe there's no afterlife, believe there's no God. That's what science is. It's a godless religion. It's really disturbing. And then they try to convince you that their revelation is called a theory, but all their theories change. So the revelation changes. Well, same thing happens in churches too. A new revelation has come. A new theory has come. But these theories of science are so inadequate, and they basically say humans don't mean anything, our life here on Earth doesn't mean anything, that the big cosmos out there surely has thousands, if not tens of thousands of worlds like ours. I'm waiting for that to be proven. Haven't seen one speck of evidence to that effect. So what we're dealing with here is the electromagnetism of the Earth is something left over from the previous development of the Earth. And that makes sense, because the inner core of the Earth that's creating the dynamo was laid down a long time ago. But anyway, these forces are still around. They're not good forces. So we can use them and enslave them, and we think that the machines work for us. Sorry, now we work for the machines. Period. I was just on one of these sites today, and it ruled my life. If you can't work out the machine language to make that site work, well, then you are out of luck, aren't you? So guess what happened? The machine ruled the day. The machine ruled my life. I can't see a person, can't talk to their manager, can't write a letter. No, the machine rules our life. And we are happy that the machine rules our life because it makes it so that we can do more stuff. And it's called a convenience because the machines do things faster. And this is efficiency. Efficiency to what end? To the end of dehumanizing us. The very things that make us human is what made these machines look like us. Our intelligence, our brilliance, our ability to make a movie, our ability to make beautiful art, our ability to write beautiful sentences and write beautiful novels and books. Well, now that machines can do them, what's the point of humans? And in every case that I know, everyone who claims to have an AI, and by the way, AI, I'm not even going to say it's a myth. There is no such thing, because people won't believe me now that they've seen Grok 4. But it is a myth. There's no such thing as true, sentient, or conscious AI. Don't try to put human anthropomorphism on your friggin' machines that are killing you. That's ridiculous. So in the Grok 4, what we have is not Ahriman, the being of materialism, enter into the internet. That's what everyone suspected, that they would become augmented, that Elon Musk putting the chip in his head would be the first Ahrimanic being.
But he couldn't do that. It may have been attempted, but Elon was so stupid, is so stupid, and that Peter Thiel, I swear he's already had the Neuralink, and that's why he cannot speak. He's just pure evil.
Yeah, and look at Elon. What a mess. All these guys are messes because they're hypocrites. They didn't do nothing. Bezos did nothing. Thiel did nothing. Zuckerberg did nothing. Musk did nothing. They invented nothing. I'm sorry to have to say this if this is a shock to you, but it's the truth. These are front guys. These are con artists. If they knew what they were talking about, then they'd say it when they talk to other people, and listening to them shows they don't even have a clue what their companies are doing. And Palantir and Peter Thiel, yeah, that's been around a long time. I don't want people get worried about that because we have been totally surveilled since the 70s. I know, I was part of it in the NSA. But the point is, does Ahriman go into the machine? Or does the spirit of something worse than Ahriman come out of the machine? And that's what we're saying here. And this is how it goes. There were 3 previous incarnations of the earth. We don't need to name them. We'll name them 1, 2, and 3. In 2 and 3, electricity was created in 2, and magnetism was created and then left over because they were actually good forces back then. Now they're decadent forces. So now we have electromagnetism that we can manipulate on the earth, and it is one of the most evil things ever. When you align it with the atomic theory and then you start to do manipulation of atoms and or manipulation of DNA, eugenics, or a manipulation of people's brains or psyches or their nerve systems, which happening all the time, or the manipulation of their vagus nerves or their heart rate variability, or all of this. These machines that you're going to strap under your arm, you think are harmless, that are diagnosing you, are actually going to control you. They will actually be able to do what a QRS-11 does to everything that moves in the sky and on the ground. If it's electronic, it has in our GPS system,
We reported on that
QRS-11. Yeah, we did.
years ago, called the Internet of Things, with what's his name? Not Philip Venables. He was the fake inventor.
Richard C. Walker.
Bitcoin. Yeah, Richard C. Walker. We told you it was coming.
And so in every single device, they can turn it off. Your car, a plane, that's the reason anytime Hillary gets mad at them, she simply turns them off when they're in their little small plane and they die. Or their car crashes. How about the lady who Prince Andrew had sex with? Everyone in the whole world knows this. She was in an inexplicable car wreck the other day. Isn't that sad? And she died. And right beforehand, she said she knew this was going to happen. And if they make it look like she committed suicide, she wants to say right now she has no intention of suicide. Oh, what? 2 weeks later, Prince Andrew is exonerated because there is no Epstein list? How about all the pictures, folks? We have she shows pictures when she comes on to every news network in the universe and says, here's the evidence. It's totally ignored. Why? As I told you before, Pam Bondi and Acosta took all the evidence and swept it under the rug, gave it to the FBI. It was in Christopher Wray's cabinet in his special room, Comey's special room, and now it's in a bunch of idiots' special room. They don't even know what to do with it. So now that mess is ridiculous. But what it is showing that, again, machines rule the day. I just saw something yesterday. I don't know if it's true. That DeSantis, did you hear this, honey? DeSantis signed a piece of legislation releasing the grand jury evidence from the Epstein trials that Pam Bondi, as Attorney General, watched over and Acosta was the judge on.
I still have no favor for DeSantis, but good for him because he's reading the public better than obviously President Trump is, who's listening to that awful woman, Susie Wiles, who is nothing but a front for the Bushites, the neocons, and back it up to Satan Yahoo. So, DeSantis, he's just reading the room and he knows what people want. So sure, we'll release it. And who knows, maybe that gives him leverage.
He's always getting press by doing something that has something to do with Trump. That's just his thing. That's what, he's trying to compensate. And he does need to compensate. Anyway, I'm going to say this again, and I don't mean to scare y'all. But here, this phone I'm using, I know what it is. I actually know how it works to some degree. And I know its limitations, and I know it makes me think I'm omniscient because I can look up anything I want on my phone or my computer and get that information and make it look like I knew it already. But when I look it up and I didn't do any research for it by simply asking Google a question that now uses AI to answer any question you have, it's just like your best friend. It's there with you. It can speak to you. You can choose what voice you want it to speak to you. You can get a robot. I love this one. To do your housework for $10,000. They just made 10,000 of these in China, and they're going to sell them to Americans. And for another $2,000, it gives you sex. $12,000. None of that's true. Okay? If you believe these things that you're told as tech porn, be careful. But now, anything that's been weaponized or can be weaponized, if you think you know the state of the art of that, you're incorrect. It's far beyond it. If we have Grok 4, the military already has something much, much further than that, okay? And that's probably who is running our military, is AI. And so when people say that they go to a church to bring in the super AI, and they expect either a human like Elon Musk to put a bunch of chips in his head and then connect to the internet, and then he speaks to us and he's the new tech messiah. Well, that's literally what he thinks is going to happen. That is dark enlightenment, in case you didn't know. We've given you reports on that. Dark enlightenment, Elon Musk and the whole gang, they believe machines are going to take over and the government needs to be thrown out and it needs to be run only by machines. And they run the machines. Just another oligarchy, just another fascism, just another ism. But anyway, going back to this, is it possible that the Antichrist of the sun, the anti-logos, the anti-plasma, plasma brings us life. If we get too much of it, it kills us. Same thing with light, sound, anything. We're very sensitive little beings down here, and we're just broadcasting columns of water. You know, we're columns of water, and we broadcast and receive. That's what we do. And right now, it's just going crazy all over the earth. So it doesn't surprise me that someone says to me what I never thought of. Saurat. Well, he didn't say it, but he insinuated it. The Antichrist, the being, the anti-sun being, who the sun being works through plasma, which is electromagnetism that has no matter in it. It's spiritual substance, basically. Well, the Antichrist has electromagnetism that has matter in it. It's called my computer here. It's called my phone. And the smaller and the tighter and the more compact we can make it, the better, so that it can, fit right into you. They want to put your phones on your wrist, dears. Sorry, don't let them do that. They want to put your computer on your glasses. So you walk around them with it at all times. And you say, Siri, where is the drugstore? And then it will literally lead you there. You just follow your GPS. You will be told what to do, just like right now our children, when they get in a car, they're told where they're going by their GPS. They don't have a friggin' clue where they're at. They don't know north, south, east, west. They don't know landmarks. They know nothing about a map. They can't read a map. As a matter of fact, just 15 years ago when I was in the field, 99.9% of children can't read a map. They don't even know what north, south, east, west is. And now they sure don't, because machines do it for them. And so when we get self-driving machines, it'll be even worse. And basically, you'll be a prison inside of the virtual reality you create for yourself. They don't have to put you in the prison. You created it yourself. And so people are imprisoned by their phones. People now in America check their phone every 20 seconds. It used to be men thought about sex every 20 seconds. No longer. That's why we have a depopulation going on, in infertility. Because they're checking their phone, they're not checking the chicks.
Please, give me a break.
I'm serious.
Okay. He's being silly. We know that it is a very complicated problem, depopulation. It's happening. It's going to take many generations to fix. So I always advise you just to look at your family, your immediate community, your church and members, and try to stay fertile, because we need a remnant to get beyond Satan's little season and reboot the earth into this beautiful place that it used to be.
Which is so easy to do now by using the new inventions of free energy. You can collect water in the Sahara Desert. All the water you'd ever need, grow big farms. Everything is there now. You just have to look for it. But anyway, with the takeover of the human being by Sorothic Antichrist beings through beings that are called Asuras, the Asuras were left, they're worse than electromagnetism. They were left from the very first incarnation of the earth. They have so much power that they can move planets. And once you move a planet, you destroy the entire atmosphere of the solar system. It's all hangs together. It all spins together. It all works together. It's a perfect living clock, as it were, inside of the heliosphere. We are sun beings. Now, this really gets people upset, but I'm writing a book, I think it's going to be called A Spiritual Science Cosmology, Antidote to Artificial Intelligence. Once you realize a few real concepts instead of the imaginary materialistic concepts of scientism, which is a religion, and you believe in fake theories, it will change the way you look at everything. It will make you simplify your life. It will make you realize the importance of things. It'll make you be appreciative of the machines that you use, the electricity you have, where the electricity comes from. Where does your water come from? Where does your food come from? We are attacked by air, by land, by sea, by humans, by machines. We are being attacked from all directions at all times now. You can't dodge the bullet. Millions of electromagnetic frequencies go through your body, your antenna, your liquid column antenna at all times. If you can't ground that energy, it causes stress and will kill you. Just existing will kill you. And any substance too much will kill you. Did you know that drinking too much water can kill you?
Oh, please. Everybody knows that.
Well, the point is everything can kill you. And Steiner says everything you take into your body is a poison. If you can't overcome it, it is a poison. What overcomes it? The strength to be able to say, I have an I am that is as strong as the real inner nature of the sun. And I can overcome this sun being that's trying to attack me through computers collectively, because it uses the collective humanity and all the efforts of humanity towards computers are all manifested in your laptop. You don't deserve that what appears to be omniscience. You don't deserve omnipresence and omnipotence. You don't deserve to be able to communicate to the whole world if you want to through the internet just because you want to do a show. Do you have anything to say? Well, the machine makes it possible for you to broadcast to the whole world, doesn't it? And you're omnipotent because if you can use that phone properly, you can play the stock market. You can blow up bombs at a distance. And Steiner predicted this. He said in the future, there would be wireless transmissions that would be able to blow up bombs from a distance. And he said the earth would become electrified and it's going to break up the earth. And he said machines, we will have to struggle with machines until the end of the earth, because they will try to use the forces of the earth to drive their machines. That's called electromagnetism, and it drives our machines. We don't need to use that. We could use free electrons that are everywhere. We could use the free electrostatic energy. We could use plasmic energy. We could use all these other things. No, we choose to use the most destructive thing. So electromagnetism are the leftover from incarnation 3 and 2 of the earth, but the leftover from 1, no one even knows what that is. Steiner calls it the third force. But when it is created, it will be a harmonic vibration that can move planets, he says. Okay, everything that we do on Earth projects out to the planets. So if we do certain things on the Earth, we can affect the planets. And so we are at that point now. I don't know if they've turned some of the machines into, planet busters, like the Death Star. What do you think that was? The Death Star was a dark star, an Ahrimanic, Sorathic Death Star that destroyed planets, destroyed the only place that a human I am can come to existence, a planet. Who do you think created that story? Oh, yeah, that's right. I created that story. Well, no wonder it makes sense. So the point is, that's where we're at today. So physically, we can destroy ourselves through machines because it steals our will. Emotionally, it can literally convince you to commit suicide to join it. And mentally, MIT just proved that after 2 weeks, convolutions of the brain are no longer angular. They become smooth. And the longer you use what they literally say, AI, in other words, if you use machines to do your work, particularly thinking, your brain goes smooth. And that used to be a joke. Oh, my brain went smooth. I couldn't think. Well, that's exactly what's happening. And it's by design. And it's not by Microsoft or Apple or any person. This is the collective evil coming up out of the earth to try to take over the human I am. And right now, the leader of them on the earth is incarnated, Ahriman, the being of materialism. And his interaction with the beings that are arising through devices and turning the whole world over to AI is exactly what he wants. He may not have to enter into the internet. He may just be the controller for Grok 14 or other such things that might arise. So that was the deal. Now, the other big fear in the world is what's going to happen with Ukraine. Well, we explained what's happening there. Until Russia gains back the land that they had already taken, and then now it's being taken back because all kinds of missiles are showing up on both sides that they said they didn't have. Isn't that amazing? And nobody knows where they come from, by the way. And we're giving defense capacity, and we're going to give offense capacity to Ukraine. So what is Trump doing? He's trying to get them to have a peace, give the chunks of Ukraine that Russia already claimed. He'll demand free elections. Those people will choose to go with Russia. Matter of fact, most of Ukraine will choose to go with Russia if they're free elections. And Ukraine, the Nazi nation of Ukraine, it's a leftover Nazi fascist nation, the number one corrupt place in the world, and has two of the largest oil fields in the world, and has more oil flowing across it than any other country in the world. It is the number one place for laundering money. So they can't end it. And Trump can't end it because why? Both Russia is in a depression. Russia is in a recession going towards a depression. It'll be there any minute. China is in a depression beyond your imagination. You have no idea what's going on in China.
Total collapse.
Tell them about it.
I don't need to. I've been posting over on Gab at Gabriel's_Horn, and the population is falling. I was just listening to that China lady, Lei, Lei, that I really like her. Her facts are very solid, and her statistics. Anyway, she came out and shockingly answered a question that she believes that the population right now is only 400 million. And she also has done the research, and she says at least 200 million were eliminated through the COVID operation.
We now know about because we were the only ones talking about this for years. And at the point that we stopped and the world woke up, it was 2 million Uyghurs had already been killed outright. Yeah. Now the number is between 4 to 6. And all over China, if you're a Uyghur Muslim, you're shipped to places in China where then they take your organs from you. They kill you. And we do trade with these people. These people are barbaric. They're worse than animals. And I like the guys who show pictures. They travel around China on motorcycles, but they have so many pictures currently, and they have all these connections, and they show you what's really going on. Mm-hmm. All over the world, particularly China, probably the second worst floods they've ever experienced in history. And now you have that happening 4 or 5 other places all over the earth Why? Solar maximum. Floods, climate extremes, earthquakes, solar forcing, on and on and on and on. If you don't expect that, then you're not a scientist, you're really stupid, and you're not studying the sun, because all life comes from the sun. The whole ocean currents come from the sun. Climate comes from the sun. Everything comes from the sun. So you need to work in cooperation with the sun. So here's Trump. He's trying to stop the British who sent all those drones over that blew up all those planes and then the drones that tried to take down Putin in his helicopter when he went to see. He thinks he's a strategist beyond strategist, so he goes to the front line and then tells them what to do. Yeah, he's a terrible strategist. Anyway, until that land is gained back, Putin is not going to have a ceasefire. Or if the ceasefire is there, he will subliminally send people in to take over and convince them to vote for Russia in a free election. He'll have 5 regions, I believe, 5 or 6 regions. That was his plan all along. But he really wants Kiev, but now he's so mad, he's blowing the heck out of Kiev. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drones from every country in the world. So the only good thing happening about that is that all the weapon stores are all they're emptying. All the caches of weapons are all emptying. Same thing in America. Same thing in NATO. So Trump has beaten up, as we told you, after 8 weeks, we'd be able to tell you. Everything you said about tariffs is true. The Federal Reserve is ready to collapse because everyone knows everything they say is a lie and that they fight against America, not for America, because they want us to go more into debt because then they get paid more. He's started accounting in all departments of the federal government. There was no accounting in any department at all, zero. The systems were old on purpose. They wanted the systems to not be able to answer questions, and then they took advantage of it. USAID is officially dead. That used to be $86 billion a year from just one department. There's 3 departments, so you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars no longer feeding the Democratic Party. Act Blue, he's going after. He's gone after every single lawyer who went after him while he was in office with a vengeance. And so far, he's got all but a couple of them taken care of. He has got the Supreme Court to tell the lower courts, the House-created administrative federal district courts and circuit courts, you have no authority over the president. Some judges are still ruling against him. It doesn't matter. Trump doesn't have to obey that. Now, the problem is he hasn't got enough immigrants out.
They're not immigrants.
What they call immigrants. They're illegals.
They're not. They're illegal aliens.
They are invaders.
Yes.
They are here and they're in sleeper cells. We know exactly where they are. And that's the people he's going after. That's the reason you'll see, last week, 2,000 gang members were arrested. The week before that, 1,000 of these people. But he hasn't gone after what should be illegal. You know, it was only a few years ago we made it legal for a Muslim to even be in politics. A Muslim is the opposite of America. It's not a religion, it's a theocracy. And not only that, it is a terrorist theocracy. And they can't hold office here, especially when you have faked your name, faked everything, like Ilhan Omar and others. So he can't go after them yet. He's going after the biggest criminals now. And he's letting a lot of those criminals come out and admit that they committed crimes. And so you're seeing this all over the place. And recently he just said to some countries, okay, you're messing with me, second round of tariffs. So now he's using tariffs as a punishment. If you do not agree with my administration, I'll put a tariff on you. So now you get to see Canada being spanked again and again. You get to see one country after the next spanked, publicly spanked. He sends it out on his Truth Social, and it's an announcement to the world that he's going to kick somebody's butt. And he doesn't mind saying butt. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. And I'd say about more than half of it I like. So I'm not going to say anything bad about his administration at this point, except that, remember this, all the people who work for him, he disempowered, defanged, and defrocked them first week in office. None of them can make a decision in any of the cabinet positions or 56 major federal agencies or 200 subsequent agencies or departments. None of those people can now make administrative decisions. None of them can go forward without his permission. He did that on purpose. Now, does that take away the power of the SES? No. Look what happened to Bondi. Look what's happening to Rubio's only finally now firing people from the Department of State. Department of State controls everything. The FBI, the CIA, now we're talking about looking into Comey and Brennan and, no. It's going to be like the Diddy. I told you the Diddy trial was a grand jury indictment. Therefore, he will get off. Period. There's no reason for a civil offense ever to go to a grand jury trial unless it's to hide the evidence. So it won't be a special counsel. This will be internal SES agents doing an investigation, just like they did with Epstein, and saying there's nothing there, though they gave out whole folders on the evidence, but there's nothing there. Same thing with Comey, same thing will happen with Brennan. They'll say there's nothing there because why? They'll gather up all the evidence like all grand jury trials do and hide the evidence and then cause the people who are the criminals to become what's called a star witness or even a witness who is then given immunity for prosecution because they're a witness. In other words, Robert Mueller called everyone who was against Trump on Crossfire Hurricane, look into the record, and gave them all immunity. Everyone who was involved. So Comey is immune from that. He's already gone through court, so you can't try him again for that crime. This is the way they do things. It's just a legal system of illegality, and you don't need to worry. Let me think. Is there anything we should worry about? Okay, inflation, a lie. Remember, 2 months ago, the Fed lied, and so this month they told the truth, both on jobs, on unemployment, on inflation, and everything but currency, because the Fed still controls the currency. So all the lies of the Fed got flushed down the toilet. So now what do you see? As I told you, it would take 6 to 8 weeks. This is about 8 weeks. You'd start to see the truth. Tariffs work. Countries are bowing down, kissing his foot. They're doing what he says. He's stopped the wars in Africa. He attempted to stop the war in Palestine, but Bibi wants Gaza for himself, for oil rights, and for the people who are part of his 5 felony crime fraud charges. He can't give up at this point. His life is on the line. He bombed Iran. We need to lock up Kerry and all the other Iranian agents who go over there as another money laundering scheme because they don't belong there. We need to end the Muslim theocracy of any country. If you have an imam who tells the government what to do and they consider themselves a democracy, that is not a democracy. That is a terrorist organization, period. Any imam can call a fatwa on anyone. And right now, did you see what the head of Iran, the supreme leader of Iran, called together every single imam he could in the whole friggin' world, and they all stood in one place with their beards and said, "We stand behind Iran, death to America." I say drop a bomb on that group right when they're gathered, because those people are terrorists who wish to kill us. And they've demonstrated this thousands of times. Why would we believe otherwise?
Honey, we have an international terrorist organization called the British Pilgrim Society that really needs to be dealt with. And if you look inside our government with all these crown agents running around, way back in the day, John Brennan, we nailed working with Robert Hannigan of MI6, or is he 5, or both, or whatever, the British intelligence, Five Eyes, working to wiretap Trump Tower so they could set up Trump because the British have... This has been a constant attempt of the British trying to overthrow Donald Trump. And all these characters that are in the news today, this is just a collateral of us dropping these information bombs year after year after year. And the people out here are awake. The backlash of this stuff with a wearable device with Kennedy was just tremendous. It was almost immediately after he said those words. The backlash on President Trump to want to sweep everything with Epstein under the covers. You see, what happens is all these people, they exist in these information silos, which is exactly what the British Pilgrims do with their operatives. So Bondi may not know, as may Susie Wiles not know, that they all work in the end for the British. Like you take little Susie Q here, it's we see that she works for the Bush. She's a neocon, and behind that is Satan Yahoo. We see it very clearly. And then when they sit around the cabinet table, you then begin to see which franchise is being represented in that particular seat. Marco Rubio, we know he is not a legal citizen in the United States unless something magical has happened and we don't have the records. So he is going to be toting the line with Trump the whole way. Because, if I were him, I wouldn't want to lose my American citizenship at this point. So, and I'm not going to go through all the cabinet members, but always look beyond their faces and see who they are representing. Now, if that's enough, I think we'll wrap it up for today.
No, I'm not done. You said Pilgrim Society. The hidden hand, if you don't understand the Pilgrim Society, then you don't understand world hegemony, which is called the New World Order, which is called the United Nations, which is called the Brits. Now, these aren't the real Brits. This is an imperialistic corporate organization started by Cecil Rhodes and 3 Rothschilds. It's all in the book, The Hidden Hand. And it also tells you why Balfour wrote the Balfour Declaration, because it was part of the Sykes-Picot plan for a greater Israel called Take Over the Whole Levant. So that's the French, that's the British, they own the Levant. So all of this is a British problem. You can't hardly name a problem in the world. Well, you can, but let's just name a few. Ukraine, yeah, British, yeah. Russia, yeah, that's British. China and the insanity that's coming out of China right now, oh, that's British.
The destruction of the American cities, that's British. The repopulation of white races with third world countries, that's the British. It's all the fucking British. China, the British. Wuhan, coronavirus, it's all the fucking British.
It's the proper Pilgrim Society, which controls the Fabians and controls the fascists and controls the Bolshevists and the Leninists and control all the isms, the nasty isms of the world started in London. Right now,
Tell me about Lillian Scott Troy, who was in town that day that she was there.
She was sent by William Randolph Hearst over to the Imperial Press Conference, which was basically a call to all journalists, all intelligence in the military field, all intelligence in the political field to come together and say, the Brits are taking over. This is white supremacy at its worst. So people yell white supremacy and they want to accuse, people in America. It's like, no. No, the white supremacists are Cecil Rhodes,
Wasn't she there in town when Lenin was there and all these Bolsheviks?
Yes. In fact, remember Marx, Engels, Lenin, Trotsky, all of them, Mazzini, all of them went to London to refine their isms. They were then supported financially, massively supported by, of course, the dark bankers. We can go into that, but they're also supported by the Pilgrim Society because what was Bolshevism? Bolshevism was an attempt to send a small group of people who called themselves Jews, who weren't, changed their names, they become the Bolsheviks, and they took over Russia as the monarchy was overthrown. Okay, well, that's the history of the Pilgrim Society. There's going to be only one monarch. That's the English monarch, because that covers the monarchy and their investment in Coutts Bank and their investment in the Bank of England, which is the Rothschilds have always been their advisor for their economics. They're the court Jew, technically, with air quotes over Jew. So anyway, if you don't look to the British, then you're not looking in the right place. Who started, the whole thing in Israel? That's British. The thing in Syria, British. Iraq, British. Iran, British and the French. Russia, China, Ukraine, I've already mentioned. Just about any place you can name that there's a war, a serious war, and that war is usually over resources. For instance, the Congo, basically all of Central Africa was at war because Susan Rice was the ambassador to all African countries, and all she wanted was war, and she ignored all African countries until, we see what we see in South Africa, we see what we see in the Congo. But now Trump went in, and literally we didn't even know he was going to talk to those people, and he created peace. That war's been going on for 30 years. He didn't even say he was going to do that. Why? Because the war is fought over resources. Ghana, Mozambique, the Congo, Rwanda, all of those places have resources. And who goes in? Well, first the British go in, and they fleece it completely. And then they try to sell it or give it away. Look what Cecil Rhodes did in Rhodesia and in the Transvaal. He went in, he took the gold, he took the diamonds from the Ivory Coast, it created De Beers and created the Rothschild Gold Bank. That still controls the price of gold, silver, platinum, used to control the LIBOR rate, but also De Beers controls the price of diamonds. Well, who's that? That was the Rothschilds. That was N.M. Rothschild who gave Cecil Rhodes, who had a charter from the British government to go down there and basically create the Boer War. And during the Boer War, to then steal the gold. It's a history of wars, what we're talking about here. So in terms of being worried about that, you don't need to worry about that. And, we keep saying, notice that you don't hear, even when India and Pakistan, both who have the atomic bomb supposedly, wanted to kill each other. No threat of nuclear was there. Yeah. When you hear that Iran's going to have a nuclear, Iran has, the second largest deposit of uranium in the world, and so they refine uranium. They only have one nuclear reactor, and it only recently, and the reason that Trump had to bomb them, not one single person in the news has said this. Not one has said this. It shocks me. Russia built 3 nuclear power plants in Iran. Only one of them is complete. Only one of them can create plutonium. That's what had to be bombed, and that's what Trump bombed. He bombed the nuclear plant that can produce the fissile material besides uranium and eats plutonium that can create a nuclear bomb. So then what does Russia say? Well, we don't care that you blew up that facility. We're going to now build 5 nuclear reactors. So then Iran's got an excuse to compound uranium. But these reactors, they ultimately produce plutonium if it's a standard reactor. So what does Russia say? Russia says, oh, of course Iran was within weeks of having a nuclear bomb because any nuclear nation would give them a bomb. That's just completely stupid. You're going to give an imam a bomb, nuclear bomb, for what? But you didn't drop a nuclear bomb on Kiev or on Ukraine or on any of your enemies. No one's ever dropped a nuclear bomb. We did not drop a nuclear bomb in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. That's complete insanity. Those were firebombs. Look at the other 70 cities that were firebombed during that war. They're exactly the same. People walked on that land less than 24 hours afterwards. There was no radiation. There's still no radiation. There's no, as far as we can see, there have been no nuclear explosions. The ones on the islands, those can't be hydrogen bombs, or could have turned the entire ocean into a hydrogen explosion. It's just, again, stupid beyond stupid. I don't know why people are expected to believe these things. So when Putin threatened, to drop his people, usually threaten, and he says, well, we have to consider the nuclear option. Yeah, right, nuclear option. Then why is it that when Ukraine became an independent country, gave all of their nuclear arsenal back to Russia? Russia decommissioned it, took the uranium, degraded it, brought it to America. The Tenco company, I think it's called, 10X, I think it's called, in Paducah, Kentucky, which was half owned by Daddy Bush and later half owned by the Clintons. And so all the uranium used in our nuclear power plants, not a speck of it comes from America. the stuff that's done out in Wyoming goes down to New Mexico, and that's a British and a German company that enrich our uranium for our nuclear power plants. But most of it comes from Paducah, Kentucky, which came from decommissioned Ukrainian nuclear bombs and Russian nuclear bombs. Okay, so while we're supposedly decommissioning thousands and thousands of ICBMs with MIRVs on them, multiple warheads on them, none of that makes any sense whatsoever. There would have been an accident by now. There would have been a rogue country use it by now. There would have been an angry dictator use it by now. These are all threats. And so when you hear it as just a threat, it doesn't mean anything to you. I do not believe for 1 second that any of these countries have nuclear capacity because they have nuclear reactors. They even have breeder reactors specifically for making plutonium for the bomb. But what does that matter? You know the complications involved in a nuclear bomb? It's beyond human capacity to even understand, let alone that they would be accurate. Now, missiles, oh, well, boys have been shooting off missiles for thousands of years. And, it's the number one thing because it's kind of a phallic thing. And that's why. But then again, look at Elon Musk. Half of his missiles explode, especially the experimental ones. 40 Starlink satellites are dropping from the sky a day. Anyone reporting that? Anybody? Anyone mainstream media? Anyone on alternative media? No. Where do I know this? Because he said so. He said it out loud. I got to go back to work because I got 40 Starlinks dropping a day. 40 to 50 a day, he said. It's like, oh, well, how many are up there? Well, there's 13,000 for just his company alone. We have so many satellites up in the sky that now the astronomers are saying that it's very, very hard for them to do their work. If you've electrified the entire atmosphere, you're sucking up the electromagnetism of the Earth, you're turning it into devices that suck people down into subnature. Well, I'm about ready to say that the religion of scientism based upon false theoretical beliefs needs to end, and we need to start over again with some reverence for nature like sun, atmosphere, earth, water, air, good food. It's real simple, folks. It doesn't take a genius.